my talk today, cities as a service. If we're trying to create a perfect version of the city, what are we trying to perfect? My favorite notion of what a city is was advanced by a physicist, Jeff West, because cities are effectively immortal creatures. They've lasted thousands of years. They get better as they get bigger if you do them right. And so Betancourt, who's a particle physicist, he describes that what cities really are is they are stars, they're suns, they're social reactors where we take social networks and compress them in space and time to produce new things. I want to talk about sort of 3 different areas about smart cities: mobility, work, public space. And then I want to talk very quickly about sort of 3 ways that we can get at how do we basically discover ideas faster about cities and urban living. So without further ado, let's get into mobility. How do we basically start solving traffic jams? By creating a service that allows people to take larger vehicles from point A to point B. At which point, you don't ask about, am I taking a car or the train? You're asking, how do I get from A to B? And that is before, of course, we get to autonomous cars. So this is my favorite one. AI is started by George Hotz, and he's written his own autonomous car operating system. And once that starts leaking out, we're going to start to see autonomous vehicles move away from the car. The future of autonomy is not a car. It's going to be something more like what Astra Teller, who runs the Google X program, talked about: self-driving buildings. There's a startup in Shanghai right now called Wheelies, which has produced Moby, a self-driving supermarket that can basically drive itself to various locations and run itself autonomously as a 24/7 market. So what happens when we start taking programs of the city, retailing, work, and others, and start spreading them across the landscape? I want to talk about work quickly. What makes the City of London so special, what has made it an unbroken center of commerce for thousands of years, is this particular formula. People make places. So bringing them together in dense space and time, allowing these informal conversations, allowing ideas to percolate, and that gossip makes people money. But we're seeing shared workspaces blend into all the other programs. The office is being exploded and combined with everything else. And that's tremendously powerful. What happens when your workspace becomes a container and a platform for how you do work and how you find people? A physical proximity where you can meet people face to face and then do cloud work together. And that is how we can start to accelerate cities. I want to touch briefly upon public space, which I think gets neglected when we talk about using IoT and talk about what we're observing. The best example of it that I found is my friend Marcus Westbury, who I wrote about in Australia. Renew Newcastle is a program that's designed to take empty interstitial spaces, places that can't be rented because they're too expensive or they're too deserted, and figure out ways to put them in the hands of artists and entrepreneurs to actually use these spaces. And what happened was, over the last 10 years, they've had 200 different projects go through 140 spaces. We can use data, we can use IoT to actually track who's using these spaces, identify pockets for intervention, and how to do it. They're going to allow them to define how much access they want them to have to the buildings to allow those ideas to trickle into the office, to create this new layer of space between a shared workspace and a private office space. All right, now that we've talked about these various ideas, how do we go about discovering more of them? How do we go about creating more of them? Well, one manner is to invest. It's better to have access to the ideas than it is to have ownership stakes in them, because really what you're trying to do is bring in as much uptake as you possibly can. The other way to do this, about coming up with these new ideas, is to tell stories, is to create new narratives to help people push beyond the limits of what they think is possible. And this, of course, is really the domain of foresight and futures. And so we can use these sorts of narratives, short stories, films, as a way of helping people think about and push beyond these boundaries. And then the last one we'll talk about is co-creation, the workshop approach, and think about how we can bring people together and create models of the future and models of these services. Now that we have this sandbox, how can we play in it? How can we define new models where perhaps half of the street is given over to vehicle traffic and half of it becomes an urban play space? In summation, coming back to this, when we talk about urban tech today, and we talk about IoT, and we talk about all of these, the challenge I have for you is how can we use that to create hotter stars? How can we increase the reaction rate to bring people together faster, better, in new ways to fulfill their goals and dreams? And if you don't believe in just a star, think of it as a synapse, right? Traditionally we've built offices in cities as self-contained, standalone things. You have housing, you have offices, you have programs. Well, now it's all about creating connections. It's about a synapse. How can you connect them faster and in more ways?